Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel, folks. Today I am going to be making lentil soup. So we're going to start out with the mirepoix. And as far as I know, in my professional cooking career, all soups that I've ever had to deal with start out with the regular old mirepoix, which is onion, carrot, and celery. So I've already peeled my carrots, and I'm going to use about half of this onion. This is a sweet onion. I prefer them over yellow or white or even red Bermuda onions. So we'll cut this in half and get started on this. And my pot for today is going to be this 3-quart stainless steel pot. That was my mom's. I try to always use stainless steel or cast iron only. But sometimes you got to use Teflon, like I did with the vegetables not too long ago. All right, let's get to chopping up this stuff. Okay, I have cut up my onions and I almost poured them into the pot here, and you might have been able to see that, but I don't want to do that because I need to make my chicken base first. Okay, so my recipe that I'm making today, by the way, this is completely experimental. I have never worked with lentils ever before, so this is completely experimental. I'm not following any recipe except what is on the lentil package, and we'll look at that a little bit later. But for now, I've got my heat turned up. Let's get our cubes in here and get this going. Should have done this first, and then we'll get back to making the mirepoix. All right, I really flubbed up. I put enough of the Knorr chicken cubes in there to make 6 cups of water. It just didn't really occur to me. They're already in there and they've already started to dissolve, so there's not much I can do. So that is 6 cups of water there. So we'll bring that to a boil, and I may need that anyway, but we'll stick to the rest of the recipe that I'll be showing you in a little bit. But we need to bring that up and get it boiling, and maybe it'll reduce down a little bit, and then we can start getting the soup going. Alright, I've selected 3 carrots here, so we'll go ahead and start chopping those all up. We want to keep everything fairly small. We want it to be small enough so that Grandma can eat it all, and so forth and so on. So I have not made soups for a long time. For a while, I was a soup maker there at the corporation. I would make the daily soups, which was around 3 gallons a day, and every day we had a different soup. So I've got some experience with some of that stuff. Okay, there's our carrots in there. Those onions are really powerful. They're making my eyes water a little bit. So, stir this up. Those cubes start to break down. And now we need to select a few pieces of celery. It looks like we're going to have... These are going to be celery hearts. So I'm going to cut off those crummy ends. They're all kind of nasty looking a little bit. And we'll select a couple of pieces. It is definitely a good idea to wash your celery. I can see there's actually dirt, and there tends to get some sand in there, and that's not good, so we want to get rid of that. This piece actually is pretty trash. Let's pull another piece off. The outer pieces sometimes can be a little bit brutal. I think that'll be good there. Celery should keep for a fair amount of time. So we're gonna cut off these ends. They're a little on the nasty side. And those other ends are cut, so I need to wash these is what I need to do. Alright, just rinse them off in some cold tap water. So I slice mine down the middle like that. Depending on the size, we want celery sticks about that big. Okay, there's our mirepoix. Now we need to change cutting boards. Alright, our chicken base is getting close to boiling. I'm going to let this boil for a while once it does. And I do believe I'm going to take some of this out of there because I just don't need that much. I don't want to do more than 1 cup of lentils. So my recipe is going to call for 1 cup of lentils, and it would have called for about 3 cups of chicken base, but I flubbed that up. Of course, it will get the mirepoix, and it will get some garlic, which I'm just about to do right now. We're gonna pull out. Nice garlicky smell there. Pull out a clove and a half, basically, and do the Martin Yan thing. Ha! And it doesn't smash all that well when they're big like that, but you just slide them off there. That crushed it up pretty nicely. Hi! Alright. Now we need to do a little mincing on this to get some nice small pieces. And that looks like it's pretty good. And then the last thing we'll have to deal with is going to be the chicken. We'll have to deal with some cutting up some chicken breast. Alright, so the lentils I'm going to be using today are just these brown lentils. As I mentioned, I have never dealt with lentils in my life, but they do have a nice little recipe on here. It tells you how to cook them, and you need to go through and examine them first, which I'll do, but I also need, it's really important to rinse them off in cold water. I have this lovely little setup here to rinse off the lentils. Just rinse them off in some cold water, maybe soak them just a little bit. But apparently lentils don't require to be soaked for any amount of time, like some beans do. Alright, it's time to get the lentils out of here. The recipe on here, I meant to read it. In a large skillet, put for each 1 pound of lentils, about 2 cups, I'm making 1 cup, 6 to 8 cups of water. So that's how I kind of figured out my recipe. I haven't went online yet to find anything interesting as far as lentils go. So we'll just do this here. Let's measure out a cup. Curious to see how these are gonna be. A little bit more in there. Alright, so we need to take these over to the sink and rinse them now. Alright, while the lentils are rinsing in the water, we've been letting this boil for a while, but it's time to take some of this out of there. So I've got this little baby pot. It's the same as the other stainless steel pot, only smaller. And that's the kind of handle that this would have had, but the handle on that is missing. I remember Mom is having a set of 3 of these. A small one, this one, and then a much bigger one. But we could never find the bigger one, so I don't know whatever happened to that. So for now, I'm gonna move this off the burner and take out about at least a cup of this. Just remove it out of there. And if I need it later, I can always put it back. Okay, I may be out of camera view, but I've taken more than a cup out of that. So let's go ahead and move this back over here. Without a handle, it's a little difficult to use this thing. I think we're done with that, at least for the time being. I think we'll need it one more time. Clean up my stove. I hate the stove all filthy dirty. Alright, so we can get rid of this. Alright, I've got my chicken out, so we'll need to cut up some of that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pour the mirepoix in here. I've got this back on the burner, bringing it up. So we'll let this get started. And then we'll grab a filleting knife and start working on the chicken. I don't like to work with chicken, honestly. Not raw chicken. Alright, not my favorite thing to do here. I don't like to work with foods that require me to wear a glove, but I guess it's okay. I got a good sharp filleting or boning knife, so we'll cut those up into fairly small pieces. They'll cook a little bit faster. This would probably be better with some dark meat, but I didn't know I was going to be doing this, so I didn't buy dark meat. But if this works out, I definitely will keep some dark meat on hand, just for this purpose. Okay, there we go. I've cut up quite a bit of chicken. These other 2 breasts are going to be for my dinner tonight and tomorrow night. But I need to put them in a new container because there's a lot of chicken blood or juice. Okay, there we go. Our mirepoix has started boiling in there. We really need to get the chicken in there too because we want it to be thoroughly done and to be almost starting to fall apart. Some may disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. As long as everything's fully cooked, it's okay. Alright, that mirepoix is pretty powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and dump my chicken in and get it, bring it back up to temperature, bring it back up to boiling. And then the only things left is a cup of lentils. And you know, as I said, I'm just totally experimenting with this. As you can see, it's pretty full right now. So I've got this extra chicken base there that's still remaining hot. I'm sure we're going to end up using. Okay, it's 11 o'clock in the morning on the 23rd, Saturday. And I'm hoping my lunch will be ready pretty quick, because I'm getting hungry. Also, the fog has never lifted today, and the temperature is pretty cold outside. It's 37 degrees. I hope we can make it up to at least 40 today. Doing this cooking in here is certainly helping to heat the house up. I am plenty warm without my jacket on, so I've decided to go ahead and pour the rest of that in there. I got it on the burner. Boy, that handle's too hot. So it has been sitting here boiling like this for 20 minutes. I need to add the lentils pretty quick because the lentils will take, according to the lentil package, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your desire for tenderness. So I don't know. Like I said, I've never cooked lentils before. But we'll bring this back up to a boil and go ahead and get those lentils in there. And that'll be it for this experimenting with this lentil soup today. Hopefully it'll work out. I actually tasted the broth and it tastes pretty good. Tastes like there's enough garlic in there and chicken broth and all that good stuff. Alright, that's been cooking there for about 25 minutes. I think it's time to go ahead and put the lentils in. I have a feeling I'm going to want them to cook a little bit more than 20 minutes. There we go. We'll slosh it all over the top of my stove. Not too bad. Well, we'll see how this is going to come out. We'll come back in about 20 or so minutes and check on these. Okay, I let the lentils boil in there for close to 30 minutes. I taste tested it. It all come out pretty good. I just added some black pepper. We'll see if that's going to be enough. But I'm not finished with this yet. So one last thing I want to do, and that's add some spinach in there. So you want to wait until it's actually done cooking and then add some spinach in there. But it still needs to be hot. So let's open this up and just hucking some spinach in there. Stems and all, because the stems are supposed to be pretty good for you. This is pretty clean spinach, I think. I would normally take the pardon me, I would take the stems off if I were doing anything else with it, but since I'm cooking it, it'll still cook in there even though the heat's off and it's no longer in a boil. The spinach will actually cook in there, so that still needs to sit for a few more minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to set up my next food and conversation, and we're going to continue watching Bonanza. So you'll see that hopefully right after this. Sometimes I don't get the videos up in proper sequence, so sometimes I'll say you'll see this next or that next, but it doesn't happen because it seems like I just get kind of fouled up on things. So anyway, my camera's battery's about dead, so I need to get it back on the charger. So I'll be trying a bowl of this here in just about 10 minutes or so.